This election is about our voice for the next 6 years. And I believe, in all due respect to some of the media out there and all due respect to my opponents, they haven't talked about so many of the issues that are facing the families of Connecticut. I'm going to try to bring that back home, bring it back here to Connecticut, because there's a lot more to Connecticut and the United States and our future than just the Iraq War.
But the people of Connecticut know where Joe Lieberman stands, for Social Security and against privatization. That's a fact.
You have the floor.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you where both of these gentlemen stand. They stand for Social Security and Medicare bankruptcy. That's where they stand, because they haven't put one idea. I call the United States Senate the Ostrich Club. Do you know why I call them the Ostrich Club? Because they stick their head in the sand and they just hope something good's going to come of it. But you know what the truth is? It is the greatest iceberg that this nation is facing. Right now, our ship is headed for it, and these two are arguing over who gets the best deck chair to watch the crash. And first, you have to understand the problem. The problem is we have this demographic baby boom that's about to hit. And in all due respect, Joe, I saw a comment that you made on Social Security that said something to the effect that we have a long-term imbalance in our government books. Boy, if that isn't the most understatement I've ever heard in my life. I want to tell you. Now, I'll tell you what's so bad about this. It's bad enough that they don't put any money aside in the Social Security Trust Fund, not a dime. They use it all to balance the general fund. But what is so bad, what is so disingenuous, is that then, after they spend the money, and they can only do this in Washington, by the way. You'd never get away with this at Enron even. But they actually spend it, and then they pretend it's still there. And Joe, this is why I ran against you. I got to be honest with you. In 2000, you got up there with Al Gore, and you said, we ought to put Social Security in a lockbox. And I said, Joe, you just lost me. You drank the Kool-Aid. You're just as disingenuous as the rest of them. You want to put an IOU from Joe Lieberman in a lockbox? I'd rather have cash. When I retire, I want a check. I don't want an IOU from Joe Lieberman, even though he's a nice guy. Let me tell you, something's got to be done. Before I get into that question, Steve, I have to raise a point here. Joe, your time has run out. No pun intended.
Only today. The voters will have the last word on that on November 7th.
I feel that here today, we're going to change things. I feel that the media basically said, this Schlesinger, we're throwing him under the bus. It's going to make it real easy for us to cover this race because now we only have to cover 2 candidates. Throw him under the bus. But I'm here to tell you today, I'm come up off of that ground. I'm brushing myself off. And look out, Ned and Joe. Here I come, baby.
Well said.
Mr. Lamont, you have about 30 seconds.
Look, you are going to come back. I got in this race. I had absolutely no support at all. The party brass said it can't be done. Don't challenge a 3-term incumbent. All the insiders said don't give it a try. I said I don't care. I got in my little Ford Escape hybrid. I started driving flat out around the state, putting 1,000 miles a week, going anywhere I could. And something is happening, Alan. People do want to change. They want a fundamental change. So don't worry about what the insiders say. Don't worry about what the party brass says. Just hang in there, say your piece, look people in the eye, and say what it means.
If you're a moderate or conservative voter, you're probably afraid of Ned Lamont. And I understand that. But with all due respect, Joe Lieberman is not your safe harbor. Joe Lieberman will tell you straight out he votes 90% of the time with the Democratic leadership. He's proud of his liberal record, as he should be, if that's how he feels. And he's told you he's going to continue to caucus with the Democrats if elected. He's even pandered and unsuccessfully sought the support of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. He has a fiscal voting record that's identical to Ted Kennedy and Hillary Clinton. And that's okay, too, if you don't happen to be a Republican or a moderate. And despite his rhetoric, for 36 years, he's basically thumbed his nose at any conservative initiative that's come across his desk. It just doesn't make sense for a Republican or a conservative or even a moderate to vote for Joe Lieberman. I ask for your support. As my numbers grow, you will be able to take pride and comfort in knowing that your concerns and views have been respected, represented, and most importantly, counted. Together, we can show the drive-by media and the special interest that all of this can be overcome by common sense and principles. Don't waste your vote on either of these liberal Democrats.
Mr. Schlesinger, on that note, your time is up.